The 2014 Los Angeles Dodgers season was the 125th for the franchise in Major League Baseball, and their 57th season in Los Angeles. On April 30, the Dodgers picked up their 10,000th win since joining the National League in 1890. He proceeded to win their second straight NL West championship but lost in 4 games to the St. Louis Cardinals in the division series. Several players had excellent years. Adrian Gonzalez led the major leagues in runs batted in. Dee Gordon led the major leagues in stolen bases and triples, and Clayton Kershaw led the major leagues in earned run average and wins. In addition, both Kershaw and Josh Beckett pitched no-hitters during the season. Kershaw won the NL Cy Young Award and the NL MVP award, making him the first National League player to win both awards in the same season since Bob Gibson in 1968. Off-season =Sportsnet LA After the 2013 season, the Dodgers ended their broadcast agreements with Prime Ticket and KiloColor TV. They entered into an agreement with Time Warner Cable to start their own regional sports network, to be called Sportsnet LA, to begin with the 2014 season. This marked the end of over-the-air broadcasts of Dodger games, which had begun in 1949. On October 12, 2013, they announced that they would not be retaining the broadcasting team of Steve Leon and Eric Collins, who had worked road games for the team since 2005 and 2009. On December 2, 2013, the team announced that former Dodger Nomar Garciaparra would be part of the new broadcast team. On December 8, it was announced that Orel Hershiser would also be joining the broadcast team as a television game analyst for road games, and that Alana Rizzo would be joining the pre- and post-game shows. On December 11, Jerry Hairston, Jr. announced that he was retiring from baseball to join the Dodgers pre- and post-game broadcasting team. On January 22, 2014, it was announced that KLAC radio announcer Charlie Steiner would move to the TV booth to call road games with Hershiser, while Garciaparra would call road radio broadcasts with Rick Monday. Van Scully, in his 65th year with the Dodgers, would continue to call all home telecasts as well as road games from Arizona and San Francisco. The new network officially launched on February 25, 2014. However, a season-long dispute between Time Warner Cable and other content providers, most notably DirecTV, led to the new channel only being available in homes that were served by Time Warner Cable itself. In September 2014, it was announced that in response to the lack of carriage for Sportsnet LA, the Dodgers' final 6 games of the regular season would be aired by local independent station KDOC Euro, an over-the-air channel that is carried by all major television providers in the region. As a result of their lack of distribution carriage for the 2014 season, the Dodgers saw a 70% drop in television ratings compared to the previous season when they were on Prime Ticket, and the poorest cable performance by the team since at least the mid-1990s. The ratings for Dodger games were second lowest in the majors, ahead of only the Houston Astros, who had similar issues with their cable provider, CSN Houston. Coaching staff On October 21, 2013, the team announced that head athletic trainer Sue Falzon, the first woman to hold the position in a major sport, would be stepping down to pursue other opportunities. The following day, the team fired bench coach Trey Hillman, who had been on the staff since 2011. The team also announced that they had chosen to pick up the options on pitching coach Rick Honeycutt, and base coaches Davey Lopes and Tim Wallach, bringing them back for 2014. On November 11, the team announced that Wallach would be promoted to the vacant bench coach position and that AAA Albuquerque manager Lorenzo Bundy would become the new third base coach. They also confirmed that manager Don Mattingly and the rest of the coaching staff would be retained for 2014. Mattingly agreed to a 3-year extension on January 7. Player departures On October 31, 2013, several Dodgers automatically became free agents the morning after the 2013 World Series ended. They included pitchers J.P. Howell, Carlos Marmol, Ricky Nolasco, Edinson Volquez, and Brian Wilson, third baseman Juan Uribe, and utility players Jerry Hairston, Jr., Nick Punto, Skip Shoemaker, and Michael Young. The same day, the Dodgers declined their 2014 options on second baseman Mark Ellis and pitcher Chris Cafuano, making them both free agents as well. Utility player Elin Herrera was claimed off waivers by the Milwaukee Brewers on November 5. On November 20, relief pitcher Sean Tolson was claimed off waivers by the Texas Rangers. On December 3, the Dodgers chose not to tender a contract to arbitration-eligible pitcher Ronald Belisario, making him a free agent. Trades. On October 23, 2013, the Dodgers traded OF Alex Castellanos to the Boston Red Sox in exchange for minor league OF Jeremy Hazelbaker in cash. The Dodgers acquired RHP Seth Rosen from the New York Mets on December 12, 2013, after the Mets selected him from the Philadelphia Phillies in the Rule 5 draft. Player signings. On October 22, 2013, the Dodgers announced the signing of Cuban middle infielder Alexander Guerrero to a 4-year deal, worth $32 million with incentives. On November 25, the Dodgers announced the signing of pitcher Dan Haren to a 1-year, $10 million contract, that included a vesting player option for 2015. On December 5, the Dodgers re-signed relief pitcher Brian Wilson to a 1-year, $10 million contract, that included a player option for 2015, and on December 14, they agreed to terms with third baseman Juan Uribe on a 2-year, $15 million, extension. On December 17, relief pitcher J.P. Howell re-signed on a 2-year, $11.25 million, contract. The team added to an already deep bullpen on December 23, by agreeing to separate 1-year contracts with Jamie Wright and Chris Perez. On January 15, 2014, the Dodgers agreed to a 7-year, $215 million, contract extension with pitcher Clayton Kershaw. The deal was the largest contract for a pitcher, eclipsing Justin Verlander's deal from the previous year. Spring training. Spring training for the 2014 Dodgers began on February 8 when pitchers and catchers reported to Camelback Ranch in Glendale, Arizona. On the first day of camp, the team also announced that they had signed left-handed pitcher Paul Maholm to a 1-year contract. Maholm would compete with Josh Beckett, who missed most of the previous season with an injury, for the 5th starter spot. On February 22, the Dodgers signed Cuban shortstop Isabel Arena to a 5-year $25 million contract and designated infielder Justin Sellers for assignment. Due to Major League Baseball scheduling the Dodgers to open the season with a couple of games in Sydney, Australia on March 22, the team had an abbreviated spring training. Starting pitcher Zach Greinke injured his calf in his first spring training start, and was ruled out for the opening series. Outfielder Matt Kemp, recovering from off-season ankle surgery, spent most of the spring training rehabbing and was also ruled out for the opening series. On March 9, the team announced that Clayton Kershaw and Hyun-Jin Ryu would start the 2 games in Australia against the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Dodgers' primary position battle in spring training was for the second base job, left open by the departure of the 2013 starter Mark Ellis. Cuban defector Alexander Guerrero was the favorite to land the spot at the start of camp, but concerns about his defense opened up the competition. Dee Gordon, who had primarily played shortstop in the past, as well as non-roster candidates Justin Turner and Cone Figgins, got time at the position during camp. At the end of camp, both Turner and Figgins had their contracts purchased and were added to the 40-man roster, while reliever Guerrero was designated for assignment. The team had a record of 6-10-5 during the Cactus League schedule, which concluded on March 16, when the team left Arizona to fly to Australia. Standings. National League West National League Wild Card Record versus opponents Regular season Opening series This season, Major League Baseball scheduled the Dodgers and Arizona Diamondbacks to open the season with a 2-game series at the Sydney Cricket Ground in Australia. As a result, both teams began spring training earlier than usual and played abbreviated Cactus League schedules before flying to Australia for the series. Several members of the Dodgers organization expressed their dislike of the way the trip would impact their normal preseason routine and their concern over the travel. As a result, the media started portraying the Dodgers in a negative light, contrasted with the Diamondbacks' seemingly supportive stance on the trip. A few days before the start of the series, the Dodgers played an exhibition game against the Australian national baseball team. Clayton Kershaw made his fourth straight opening day start for the Dodgers, joining Don Drysdale, Don Sutton, Fernando Valenzuela and Ramirez Martinez as the only Dodgers to do so. He allowed a run for the first time in 25 opening day innings, but still struck out 7 in 6.2 innings for the 3-1 win. Scott Van Slyke homered and doubled to pace the offense. In the second game, Hyun-Jin Ryu pitched 5 scoreless innings while striking out 5. Yasiel Puig was 3 for 5 with an RBI double, Dee Gordon had 3 hits, an RBI and scored twice, and Juan Uribe also had 3 hits and an RBI. The bullpen struggled and let the Diamondbacks get back into the game after trailing by 7 runs, but the Dodgers won 7-5 to sweep the 2-game opening series. March-April. The Dodgers returned to Los Angeles to play the Freeway Series, 3 exhibitions against the Los Angeles Angels. During that period, they discovered that Kershaw had a sore back, which would keep him from starting the domestic opener, and sent him to the disabled list for the first time in his career. When the season resumed, on March 30, at Petco Park, Hyun-Jin Ryu pitched another 7 shutout innings as the Dodgers pulled ahead 1-0. However, the bullpen faltered as Brian Wilson allowed 3 runs in the 8th without recording an out and the team lost 3-1 to the San Diego Padres. A 2-run homer by Yasiel Puig led the Dodgers to a 3-2 win the next day as Zach Greinke picked up his first win of the season. Dan Haren made his Dodgers debut on April 3, allowing 1 unearned run on 4 hits with 6 strikeouts and no walks in a 5-1 win against the Padres. The Dodgers returned to Dodger Stadium for their home opener on April 4. However, Ryu was hit hard and the San Francisco Giants jumped to an early 8-0 lead after the second inning and held on to win 8-4. A 3-run homer by Pablo Sandoval and 10 strikeouts by Madison Bumgarner led the Giants to a 7-2 rout of the Dodgers the next day. Zach Greinke struck out 8 in 10 innings on April 6 and the Dodgers got 2 home run games from both Matt Kemp and Hanley Ramirez to beat the Giants 6-2 in the final game of the series. A walk-off double by Kyle Crawford in the 10th inning gave the Dodgers a 3-2 win over the Detroit Tigers on April 8. Josh Beckett returned from the disabled list to make his first start of the season on April 8. He struggled but the Dodgers came from behind to send the game into extra innings only to lose 7-6 in 10 innings. The Dodgers traveled to Chase Field to play the Diamondbacks on April 11. Adrian Gonzalez was 3 for 4 with 5 RBI and a homer as the Dodgers won 6-0 in the opener of the series. Greinke picked up his 3rd win of the season when he pitched 5 innings while allowing only 1 run and striking out 8 the next night. Gonzalez hit a 2-run homer in the game. The Dodgers won 8-5, despite Brandon League allowing 3 runs to score in the 9th. Gonzalez, Kemp and Juan Uribe all homered as the Dodgers completed the sweep of the Diamondbacks 8-6. The Dodgers next dropped the opener of a 3-game series at AT&T Park to the Giants in 12 innings. The Giants also won the next game, 2-1, despite an effective start by Paul Maum, who allowed only 1 run in 6 innings. Ryu pitched 7 scoreless innings in the series finale as the Dodgers won 2-1. He became the 5th Dodger pitcher since Orel Hershiser in 1988 to pitch 4 consecutive scoreless road starts. The Dodgers returned home on April 18 for another series with the Diamondbacks. They lost the first game of the series 4-2 in 12 innings. This was the 3rd straight home extra innings game, matching the longest streak at Dodger Stadium. A 3-run homer by Andre Ethier paced the team the next day as they won 8-6. Puig hit a 3-run homer in a 4-1 win in the series finale. Cliff Lee dominated the Dodgers 7-0 as the Philadelphia Phillies came to town next. A costly error in the 10th inning led to a 3-2 loss the next night. Greinke picked up his fourth win while striking out 11 in 7+ innings on April 23. Puig tripled and Hanley Ramirez hit a homer and double to pace the offense in the 5-2 win over the Phillies. Brian Wilson allowed 4 runs in the 9th inning as the Phillies took the final game of the series, 7-3. Josh Beckett was brilliant on April 25 against the Colorado Rockies, striking out 6 and allowing only 2 runs in 8 innings. However, the Dodgers dropped another extra innings contest, 5-4. Kemp and Gonzalez both homered in the Dodgers' 6-3 the next day. Ryan was pounded in the final game of the homestand and the Dodgers lost to the Rockies 6-1. The Dodgers went back on the road, to cold and wet Minnesota, where the first game of the series against the Minnesota Twins on April 29 was postponed because of the poor weather, rescheduled as part of a doubleheader 2 days later. The action got back underway on April 30 at Target Field as Zach Greinke improved to 5-0 on the season and the Dodgers racked up their 10,000th win since joining the National League with a 6-4 victory. Yasiel Puig and Juan Uribe had 4 hits each and Dan Haren picked up his 4th win of the season in the Dodgers' 9-4 victory in Game 1 of the doubleheader against the Twins on May 1. The Dodgers called up minor league pitcher Red Patterson to start the second game of the doubleheader. Solo homers by Scott Van Slyke and Drew Butera in the 12th inning led to a 4-3 win and a sweep of the Interleague Series. The Dodgers traveled to Miami, Florida for a series against the Marlins at Marlins Park. The tired team fell behind 6-0 in the opener, staged a late rally but lost 6-3. On May 3, Dee Gordon had 5 hits and 3 steals and Kyle Crawford hit a 2-run homer in the 11th inning to give the Dodgers a 9-7 win. A walk-off double by Jeff Baker gave the Marlins a 5-4 win in the last game of the series. The Dodgers sat through a 3-hour rain delay in the middle of their series opener against the Washington Nationals at Nationals Park only to lose 4-0 when the offense took a day off. Clayton Kershaw returned from the disabled list and pitched 7 scoreless innings while striking out 9 in the Dodgers' 8-3 win. Dan Haren lost for the first time in the final game of the road trip, as the Dodgers' offense was stymied by Steven Strasburg and they lost 3-2. The Dodgers returned home to drop the opener of a 4-game series against the Giants, 3-1, in 10 innings as the struggling bullpen walked 3 batters in that inning. The losing streak hit 3 games in a row as Madison Bumgarner stymied their offense in another 3-1 defeat. The Dodgers won the next game in the series, 6-2 thanks to a strong effort from leadoff hitter Dee Gordon. He had 2 hits, scored 2 runs, stole 3 bases and had the tie-breaking RBI double in the 7th inning. The Dodgers staged a late-inning comeback to send the series finale into extra innings but the bullpen faltered again and they lost 7-4. A 3-run homer by Puig carried the Dodgers to a 6-5 victory over the Marlins on May 12. Josh Beckett picked up his first win since September 30, 2012, the next day, as the Dodgers defeated the Marlins 7-1. Paul Moen was awful the next day, giving up 10 runs on 11 hits as the team was blown out 13-3. Back on the road against the Diamondbacks, Puig and Van Slyke each homered and Greinke picked up his league-leading 7th run in the 7-0 win. On May 17, Kershaw had the shortest start of his career, lasting only 1 innings and allowing 7 runs in what became an 18-7 loss. Poor defense contributed to a 5-3 loss in the series finale. The team next traveled to Citi Field for a series against the New York Mets. They won the opener 9-4 as Adrian Gonzalez had 3 hits, including a tie-breaking home run. He homered again the next day, as did Puig and Hanley Ramirez as Hyun-Jin Ryu came off the disabled list to beat the Mets 4-3. However, they lost the series finale, 5-3. Kershaw rebounded to pitch 6 shutout innings, sandwiched around a 45-minute rain delay, as the Dodgers won the opener of a series from the Philadelphia Phillies, 2-0, at Citizens Bank Park. More shoddy defense led to a 5-3 defeat the next day. The Dodgers ended the road trip with a 6-0 win over the Phillies as Josh Beckett pitched his first career no-hitter, and the first by a Dodger pitcher since Hideo Numo in 1996. The Dodgers returned home on Memorial Day and Raya took a perfect game into the eighth inning against the Cincinnati Reds before allowing a leadoff double to Todd Frazier. The bullpen again struggled, and the Reds closed the gap before the Dodgers held on to win 4-3. Andre Ethier homered, tripled and drove in 4 runs in the 6-3 win over the Reds on the 27th as Green struck out 11 in his 7 innings. Brandon Phillips hit a 2-run homer in the first inning and the Reds held on to defeat the Dodgers 3-2 as the series wrapped up. They lost again the next day, 6-3, to the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Dodgers were shut down by Francisco Liriano in a 2-1 loss the following day. Hanley Ramirez woke up the Dodgers' offense by going 4-for-4 with 2 homers and 5 RBI as the Dodgers routed the Pirates 12-2 to finish the month of May with a 15-15 record. June started off with a loss as Andrew McCutchen was 3-for-4 with 2 doubles and a home run in the Pirates' 5-3 win over the Dodgers. Clayton Kershaw struck out 9 while allowing only 2 runs in 8 innings on June 2 against the Chicago White Sox and the Dodgers scored 5 unearned runs in the bottom of the 6th thanks to 2 White Sox errors to win 5-2. 2 home runs, including a 2-run blast by Jose Copyright Abreu, gave the White Sox a 4-1 win in the second game of the series. 2 solo homers by the White Sox allowed them to beat the Dodgers, who only got 2 hits in the game, 2-1, as the homestand came to an end. Dee Gordon had 3 hits, including 2 triples, in the Dodgers' 7-2 win over the Colorado Rockies at Coors Field on June 6. He was the first Dodgers player with 2 triples in a game since Rafael Furcal in 2010. Tim Federowicz hit a 3-run homer the next day, but the Dodgers still lost 5-4 in 10 innings on a walk-off triple by Brandon Barnes. The final game of the Rockies series was called off after 5.5 innings because of rain but the Dodgers were credited with a 6-1 win. Clayton Kershaw struck out 9 batters in the 5 innings, becoming the first pitcher in Major League history to record 4 straight games of exactly 9 strikeouts. The game was the Dodgers' first regulation game called before 9 innings since a 2004 game that was also at Coors Field. Scott Van Slyke hit 2 home runs and drove in 4 on June 9 as the Dodgers beat the Cincinnati Reds 6-2 at Great American Ballpark. Josh Beckett threw 6 shutout innings and the Dodgers racked up 12 hits in a 6-1 win over the Reds after a 2-hour rain delay before the second game of the series. The Dodgers struck out 12 times, managed only 4 hits, and were shut out 5-0 by Johnny Cueto on June 11 and wound up with a series split after dropping a day game the following day, 4-1. The team returned home on June 13 and Kershaw allowed only 1 run in 7 innings while striking out 7 and Matt Kemp homered as they beat the Arizona Diamondbacks 4-3. A 2-run homer by Dee Gordon and a 3-run double by Dan Haren helped the Dodgers to a 6-4 win the next night. Sloppy defense and base-running errors contributed to a 6-3 loss in the last game of the series, on Father's Day. Gordon was 4-for-4 and scored twice in the Dodgers' 6-1 win over the Rockies the next night. Matt Kemp moved into 6th place on the Dodgers' all-time homer list on June 18, passing Roel Mondiza with his 164th, as the team won 4-2. On June 18, Kershaw pitched a complete game no-hitter against the Rockies and struck out a career-high 15 batters in the process. The Dodgers won 8-0. Combined with Beckett's earlier no-hitter, they were the first 2 Dodgers to throw no-hitters in the same season since Carl Erskine and Sal Maglie in 1956. The Dodgers next traveled down the freeway to open a 3-game series against the San Diego Padres at Petco Park. Kenley Jansen blew the save in the game by allowing 3 runs in the 9th inning and the Padres walked off with a 6-5 win. Beckett pitched 7 shutout innings while allowing only 4 hits and striking out 8 in the Dodgers' 4-2 win in the next game. Hyun-Jin Ryu only allowed 1 run in 6 innings as the Dodgers won the series finale 2-1. The Dodgers next lost the opener of an interleague series at Kauffman Stadium against the Kansas City Royals, 5-3. In his next start, Kershaw pitched 8 more shutout innings while striking out 8 batters in a 2-0 win. They finished off the road trip with a 5-4 win over the Royals, where the winning Rhodes scored when A.J. Ellis was hit by a pitch with the bases loaded in the top of the 8th. Back at Dodger Stadium, Josh Beckett engaged in a pitcher's duel with Adam Wainwright of the St. Louis Cardinals in a game that remained scoreless until a pinch-hit RBI single by Justin Turner in the bottom of the 8th gave the Dodgers their one run in a 1-0 win. The Cardinals won the next night, 3-1, as the offense again sputtered. Zach Greinke picked up his 10th win of the season on June 28, when he struck out 10 in 7 innings. The Dodgers' offense exploded for 15 hits and 9 runs as they picked up a 9-1 win. In the series finale, Kershaw struck out 13 in 7 innings and extended his scoreless streak to 28 consecutive innings, the longest streak in Dodgers history since Orel Hershiser's record-breaking 1988 season. The Dodgers won 6-0 to move into a share of first place with the Giants. The next night, Dan Haren allowed only 1 hit in 7 shutout innings and Clint Robinson's first major league hit drove in the game's only run as the Dodgers beat the Cleveland Indians 1-0. After falling 9.5 games back at the start of the month, the Dodgers ended the month of June with a half-game lead over the Giants in the division. July The Dodgers started July by being blown out by the Indians 10-3. They left 10 men on base, including stranding the bases loaded 3 times and hitting into a triple play. Hyun-Jin Ryan allowed only 2 runs and 2 hits the next day, but the bullpen allowed 3 runs in the top of the 8th and the Dodgers lost 5-4. Zach Greinke allowed only 2 runs in 8 innings on July 3 at Coors Field and a Juan Uribe RBI single in the top of the 9th gave the Dodgers a 3-2 win over the Rockies. On the 4th of July, Clayton Kershaw allowed only 2 hits and no runs in 8 innings while striking out 8 in the team's 9-0 win. Dan Haren struck out a season-high 8 batters on July 5, but also allowed a season-high 8 runs and 10 hits. The Dodgers scored 5 runs in the 5th in an attempted comeback but fell 1 run short in an 8-7 loss. The Dodgers cruised to an 8-2 win in the series finale behind Josh Beckett's 5 scoreless innings. However, he walked 3 in the game which ended the Dodgers' MLB record streak for consecutive starts with no more than 2 walks at 39. After the game, the Dodgers learned that they had 4 players selected to the 2014 Major League Baseball All-Star Game. Kershaw and Greinke were selected to the team, the 4th straight selection for Kershaw. Yasiel Puig was voted as a starter by the fan voting and Dee Gordon was selected as a reserve. Hyun-Jin Ryan was unable to get out of the 3rd inning as he allowed 7 runs on 10 hits and the Dodgers were pounded by the Detroit Tigers 14-5 at Comerica Park. Max Scherzer outdueled Greinke in a battle of former Cy Young Award winners and the Dodgers ended their road trip with a 4-1 loss to the Tigers. Back home, Kershaw pitched a 3-hit complete game against the San Diego Padres on July 10. However, he allowed a run to score for the first time in nearly a month. He had pitched 41 consecutive scoreless innings, the 3rd longest in Dodgers history behind Orel Hershiser and Don Drysdale. The Dodgers won 2-1. However, they lost 6-3 the next night as the bats were unable to solve rookie Jesse Hahn and Dan Haren struggled. In the following game, Paul Maholm started for the Dodgers in place of the injured Josh Beckett and pitched 6 scoreless innings. Ian Kennedy pitched 8 scoreless for the Padres to match him. A walk-off sacrifice fly by A.J. Ellis in the 9th led to the only run of the game and the Dodgers won a 0 victory. They won the following game, also 1-0, and the Dodgers headed into the All-Star break with a top record in the National League, 54-43. They resumed play on July 18 after the break with a 3-2 loss to the St. Louis Cardinals at Busch Stadium. The next game, Greinke gave up 4 runs in the 1st inning and the Dodgers were shut down by Joe Kelly and lost 4-2. Kershaw struck out 8 in 7 innings in his next start, but allowed a costly 2-run homer to Peter Burgos. However, this time the Dodgers came back and won the game on a 9th inning single by Adrian Gonzalez, 4-3. The Dodgers next traveled to Pittsburgh to open a 3-game series at PNC Park. Hanley Ramirez and Yasiel Puig were both held out of most of the series against the Pirates due to injuries suffered in the Cardinals series. Still, Raya pitched well in Game 1 and the team won 5-2. Josh Beckett returned to the rotation after a brief stint on the disabled list but allowed 4 runs in only 3 2/3 innings, and another bullpen implosion led to a 12-7 loss in the next game. Dan Haren lost his 4th straight start on July 23 as the Dodgers dropped the final game of the series 6-1. The Dodgers next traveled to AT&T Park for a crucial series against the San Francisco Giants. In the opener, Puig hit 3 triples, tying a franchise record set by Jimmy Sheckard in 1901. His 11 total bases in the game were career highs and the most by a Dodger since Kevin Elster his 12 in 2000. Zach Greinke struck out 10 in 7 scoreless innings and the Dodgers cruised to an 8-1 win. Kershaw followed that up with a 2-hit shutout for a 5-0 win. The Dodgers completed the sweep over the Giants with a 4-3 victory on July 27. The team returned home on July 29 to play the Atlanta Braves. Puig had 4 hits in 5 at-bats and Matt Kemp hit 2 home runs in the Dodgers' 8-4 win to secure the team's first 4-game winning streak of the season. The Dodgers had 9 extra base hits in the game, the most since September 18, 2006. In the next game, Kemp homered again and also hit a walk-off single in the 10th inning as the Dodgers won 3-2. Greinke struck out 13 in 8 innings in the game, while walking only 1. Kershaw pitched a 9-strikeout complete game as the Dodgers swept the Braves 2-1 to end July with a 6-game winning streak. August Dan Haren's struggles continued as the calendar moved into August. He allowed 7 runs in 4 1/3 innings as the Dodgers were blown out by the Chicago Cubs, 8-2, to snap the winning streak. Hanley Ramirez hit a walk-off homer the next day as the Dodgers won 5-2 in extra innings. Matt Kemp hit his 5th home run in 6 games on August 3, but poor pitching from Josh Beckett and several relief pitchers led to a 7-3 loss to the Cubs. The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim jumped out to a quick lead in the first inning and Garrett Richards pitched a complete game shutout in their 5-0 win over the Dodgers in the opener of the next series. Juan Uribe hit a 3-run homer the next night and the Dodgers won on a walk-off grounder by Andre Ethier for a 5-4 win. The series switched to Angel Stadium of Anaheim the following day and after 5 terrible starts that had fans calling for his head, Dan Haren picked up his first win in over a month, as the Dodgers won 2-1. He allowed only 3 hits in 7 1/3 innings. The Dodgers finished off the interleague series when Hyun-Jin Ryu combined with 2 relievers and a 2-hit shutout as they won 7-0. After struggling in his last few starts, an MRI revealed that Josh Beckett had aggravated his injured hip and he returned to the disabled list. The Dodgers traded for Roberto Hernandez, who started the opener of a series against the Milwaukee Brewers at Miller Park on August 8. He was solid, allowing only 2 runs over 6 innings, but a defensive meltdown in the 7th led to a disappointing 9-3 loss. Zach Greinke allowed 4 runs in 6 innings the next day and the Dodgers lost 4-1. Clayton Kershaw allowed only 1 run in 8 innings as the Dodgers avoided the sweep with a 5-1 win. He upped his personal win streak to 11 games, the longest win streak by a Dodger starter since Oral Hershiser in 1985. Another recent trade acquisition, Kevin Guerrero started for the Dodgers at Turner Field against the Atlanta Braves on August 11. He allowed only 1 run in 6 innings while the Dodgers' offense came up with enough runs in a 6-2 win. Another good performance by Dan Haren led to a 4-2 win the next day. The Braves took the next game in the series, 3-2, after the Dodgers hit into a game-ending double play with the bases loaded in the 9th. Dee Gordon scored 4 runs and stole 2 bases as the Dodgers won the series with a 6-4 victory on August 14. The Dodgers returned home for another series against the Brewers. A bullpen meltdown led to a 6-3 loss in the first game, with the Brewers scoring 5 of the runs in the 8th inning. In the next game, Kershaw pitched a complete game, striking out 10 and allowing only 5 hits. However, 2 of the hits were homers and the team lost 3-2. It was Kershaw's first loss in 14 starts. Dan Haren lasted just 3 innings as the Brewers finished off a 3-game series sweep of the Dodgers with a 7-2 rout in the series finale. Carl Crawford had 3 hits in 3 at-bats with a home run and a stolen base as the Dodgers ended their 3-game losing streak with an 8-6 win over the San Diego Padres on August 19. 3 Dodgers errors contributed to a 4-1 defeat the next day, but they won the final game of the series 2-1. Kershaw allowed only 1 run and 3 hits in 8 innings while striking out 10, and a 2-run homer by Justin Turner in the 8th inning gave the Dodgers their first win of the season while trailing after the 7th inning. Haren bounced back, allowing only 1 run in 7 innings as the Dodgers beat the New York Mets 6-2 on August 22. Adrian Gonzalez hit a 3-run homer and had a season-high 5 RBI in the Dodgers' 7-4 win the following day. Kevin Correa unraveled in the 3rd inning and allowed 5 runs thanks to 2 homers. The Dodgers were blown out 11-3 in the game. A couple of replay challenges helped the Dodgers put up 6 runs in the 4th inning as they beat the Arizona Diamondbacks 9-5 at Chase Field on August 26. Kershaw picked up his 16th win of the season the following day, and Kenley Jansen recorded his 100th career save as the Dodgers won 3-1 to sweep the brief 2-game series. The team then dropped the opening of a series against the Padres at Petco Park, 3-2 in 12 innings. In the second game, the team squandered a strong start by Zach Greinke and lost again in extra innings, on a walk-off hit by Alexei Amarista in the 10th inning. Hyun-Jin Ryu came off the disabled list on August 31 and pitched safe strong innings, and Adrian Gonzalez had 4 hits as the Dodgers avoided the sweep with a 7-2 win. September. The Dodgers began the month of September by hosting the Washington Nationals for a 3-game series in a matchup of the teams with the top 2 records in the National League. In the first game, the Nationals hit 4 home runs off of Roberto Hernandez, including 2 by Daynard Span, and they beat the Dodgers 6-4. Clayton Kershaw struck out 8 batters the next night in 8 innings, while allowing only a solo home run by Bryce Harper as the Dodgers won 4-1. In the process, Kershaw moved past the 200 strikeout mark for the 5th straight season, joining Sandy Koufax as the only Dodger pitchers to accomplish that, and just the 4th pitcher since 1893 to have at least 5 200 strikeout seasons through an age 26 season. Kenley Jansen allowed 3 runs in the 9th to blow his save opportunity, and the Nationals came back to defeat the Dodgers 8-5 in a 14-inning marathon. This was the Dodgers' longest game of the year. After a much-needed day off, they returned to action on September 5 with a 2-1 victory over the Diamondbacks. Dan Haren allowed 1 run on 4 hits in 6 innings and Matt Kemp homered in the win. 3 hits and a key RBI single by Dee Gordon and a 2 RBI double by Hanley Ramirez helped the Dodgers win the next game, 5-2. Adrian Gonzalez homered twice and drove in 6 runs as the Dodgers completed the sweep of the Diamondbacks with a 7-2 win on September 7. Kershaw picked up his 18th win when he allowed only 1 earned run in 8 innings as the Dodgers beat the San Diego Padres 9-4. The Dodgers' 4-game winning streak was snapped as Hanley Ramirez committed a couple of errors in the 2nd inning, and Roberto Hernandez only lasted 3 innings as they lost the game 6-3. The Dodgers finished off the homestand with a 4-0 shutout to the Padres. Carl Crawford had 4 hits in 4 at-bats in the game with 3 doubles. That tied the Dodgers' record for most doubles in a game, a mark last accomplished by Matt Kemp in 2011. Dan Haren pitched 7 scoreless innings to pick up his 13th win, and this was the first time the Dodgers had 4 starters with 13 or more wins since 1985, when Orel Hershiser, Fernando Valenzuela, Jerry Roos and Bob Welch reached that mark. The Dodgers, holding a 2-game lead in the division, traveled up the coast to begin a key 3-game series against the team trailing them in the standings, the San Francisco Giants, at AT&T Park. Hyun-Jin Ryu was tagged for 4 runs in the first before leaving the game with shoulder irritation in a contest the Dodgers lost 9-0. Hanley Ramirez did hit a double in the game, which gave the Dodgers 4 players with at least 30 doubles for the first time since 2003. The Dodgers came back the next night and got even. They scored 4 runs in the first to knock Tim Hudson out of the game and cruised to a 17-0 victory. Zach Greinke allowed only 4 hits in 6 scoreless innings and also hit a double and a 2-run homer. The game was the Dodgers' most lopsided victory and most one-sided shutout against the Giants since the team's move to the West Coast in 1958. The Dodgers had the most hits by any team in AT&T Park history and the most hits by an opponent against the Giants since 1932. Dee Gordon also picked up his 60th stolen base in the game, the first Dodger to reach that mark since Juan Pierre in 2007. The 2 opposing shutouts equaled the largest consecutive shutout run differential since a game between the Chicago White Stockings and the Washington Nationals on May 27, 28, 1886. Kershaw picked up his 19th win the following day, pitching 8 innings while allowing 2 runs and striking out 9. He became the first Dodger starter to last at least 8 innings in 7 straight starts since Orel Hershiser in 1988. Matt Kemp hit a 2-run home run in the 4-2 win, the 177th of his career, tying Mike Piazza for 4th on the all-time LA Dodger list. They next traveled to Coors Field and blew out the Rockies 11-3. The following night, the Dodgers out-hit the Rockies 16-9 but were unable to bring many runs in and lost 10-4 as they stranded 10 runners on base. In the final game of the series, Carlos Frias became the first pitcher in the modern era to allow 10 hits without getting at least 3 outs. The Dodgers were pounded 16-2. The Dodgers fell behind the Chicago Cubs in the next game, at Wrigley Field, but used a 5-run 7th inning to come back and win the game 8-4. The Dodgers scored 6 times in the first inning of the next game and A.J. Ellis his 2 home runs en route to a 14-5 victory over the Cubs. Kershaw picked up his 20th win of the season, joining Sandy Koufax, Don Drysdale and Claude Osteen as the only LA Dodger pitchers to have multiple 20-win seasons. Kershaw also joined Pedro Martinez as the only pitchers to win 20 games in less than 30 starts. The Dodgers clinched a playoff berth later that night when the Pittsburgh Pirates beat the Milwaukee Brewers. Adrian Gonzalez hit 2 home runs with 5 RBI in the September 20 game against the Cubs to pull out to a 6-2 lead, but the bullpen faltered and the Cubs, led by 2 homers by Chris Colon, came back to win 8-7. Matt Kemp homered with 4 hits and 4 RBI as the Dodgers finished up their last road trip of the regular season with an 8-5 victory over the Cubs. The Dodgers returned home on September 22 with a 4-1/2 game lead in the division to begin their final homestand of the season against the second-place Giants before a crowd of 53,500, the largest in the majors in 2014. Dan Haren allowed only 1 hit in his 7 innings of work, but the Dodgers' defense coughed up 3 errors and the team failed to get a hit after the 6th inning. The Giants eventually won 5-2 in 13 innings. In the following game, Greinke pitched 8 innings and Justin Turner hit 2 home runs as the Dodgers won 4-2 to cut their magic number to 1. Clayton Kershaw struck out 11 while only allowing 1 run in 8 innings, and the Dodgers jumped on the Giants and won 9-1 on September 24 to clinch their second straight National League West Division championship and home field advantage in the divisional round of the playoffs. With the team resting several regulars the next game, Scott Elbert picked up his first win in 2 years and the Dodgers beat the Rockies 7-4. Scott Van Slyke had 2 hits, 2 steals and scored the winning run on a wild pitch in the 12th inning as the Dodgers beat the Rockies 6-5 in the second-to-last game of the regular season. Juan Uribe managed the team in the season finale and they hit 3 home runs to finish off the Rockies 10-5. The Dodgers finished the regular season with a record of 94-68. Game log Postseason National League Division Series The Dodgers took on the St. Louis Cardinals in the Division Series. This was the 4th meeting of the 2 clubs in the postseason in the last 10 years, with the Cardinals having eliminated the Dodgers most recently in the 2013 National League Championship Series. In the first game, the Dodgers took a 6-1 lead, thanks to A.J. Ellis who had 4 hits, including a home run. Clayton Kershaw, who only allowed 2 hits in the first 6 innings, hit the wall in the 7th. The Cardinals loaded the bases on 3 singles and then Matt Carpenter cleared the bases with a double to give the Cardinals the lead. A 3-run home run by Matt Holliday off relief pitcher Pedro Baez put the game away, though the Dodgers did mount a rally to make the final score 10-9. Kershaw with 10 strikeouts joined Sandy Koufax as the only Dodgers in history with multiple 10-strikeout games in the postseason, though he was also the first pitcher in history to allow 8 runs while striking out 10. In Game 2, Zach Greinke shut out the Cardinals on 2 hits over 7 innings, while striking out 7. Carpenter again provided the key blow for the Cardinals, with a 2-run homer off reliever J.P. Howell in the 8th to tie up the game. Matt Kemp hit a solo homer in the bottom of the 8th to give the Dodgers back the lead and Kenley Jansen closed it out for a 3-2 win and even the series. Hyun-Jin Ryu made the start for the Dodgers at Busch Stadium in Game 3, his first appearance since leaving a game against the Giants with an injury on September 12. He pitched well, allowing only 1 run and 4 hits in 6 innings. However, the Dodgers were also only able to push across 1 run against Cardinals starter John Lackey. For the 3rd straight game, the bullpen faltered. This time it was Scott Elbert who allowed a 2-run homer to Colton Wong, the difference maker in the 3-1 loss. In Game 4, Kershaw started on 3 days rest and pitched a 1-hit shutout through the first 6 innings. The Dodgers took a 2-0 lead but in a repeat of the first game, it fell apart in the 7th. Matt Adams came up with 2 on-and-hit and 3-run homer that was the decisive blow. The Cardinals won 3-2 and eliminated the Dodgers in the postseason for the 2nd straight year. Postseason game log Roster. Player stats. Batting List does not include pitchers. Stats in bold are the team leaders. Note: G = games played. AB = at-bats. R = runs. H = hits. 2 bytes = doubles. 3 bytes = triples. HR = home runs. RBI = runs batted in. BB = walks. SO = strikeouts. SB = stolen bases. Average = batting average. OBP = on-base percentage. SLG = slugging. OPS = on-base plus slugging, batting stats from MLB.com. Pitching stats in bold are the team leaders. Note: W = wins. L = losses. ERA = earned run average. G = games pitched. GS = games started. SV = saves. IP = innings pitched. R = runs allowed. ER = earned runs allowed. BB = walks allowed. K = strikeouts, pitching stats from MLB.com. Awards and honors. Transactions. March on March 19, placed RHP Chad Billingsley on the 15-day disabled list, placed CF Matt Kemp on the 15-day disabled list and placed RHP Josh Beckett on the 15-day disabled list. On March 21, placed LF Carl Crawford on paternity leave and optioned C. Tim Fedorowicz to AAA Albuquerque. On March 25, activated LF Carl Crawford off the paternity list and optioned IF Alexander Guerrero to AAA Albuquerque. On March 26, RHP Seth Rosen was claimed off waivers by the Texas Rangers and RHP Guerrero was claimed off waivers by the Chicago White Sox. On March 30, optioned RHP Jose Copyright Dominguez to AAA Albuquerque and placed LHP Clayton Kershaw on the 15-day disabled list with back tightness. April on April 2, placed RHP Brian Wilson on the 15-day disabled list with nerve irritation in his right elbow and recalled RHP Jose Copyright Dominguez from AAA Albuquerque. Claimed IF Carlos Triunfal off waivers from the Seattle Mariners and optioned him to AAA Albuquerque. On April 4, activated OF Matt Kemp from the 15-day disabled list and optioned OF Mike Baxter to AAA Albuquerque. On April 6, acquired LHP Colt Hines from the Cleveland Indians in exchange for minor league pitcher Duke von Sharman and designated OF Mike Baxter for assignment. Optioned Hines to AAA Albuquerque. On April 8, placed C.A.J. Ellis on the 15-day disabled list with a torn meniscus in his left knee and recalled C. Tim Federowicz from AAA Albuquerque. On April 9, activated RHP Josh Beckett from the 15-day disabled list and optioned RHP Jose Copyright Dominguez to AAA Albuquerque. On April 15, activated RHP Brian Wilson from the 15-day disabled list and optioned LHP Paco Rodriguez to AAA Albuquerque. On April 21, optioned IFOF Cone Figgins to AAA Albuquerque and recalled RHP Jose Copyright Dominguez from AAA Albuquerque. On April 27, optioned RHP Jose Copyright Dominguez to AAA Albuquerque and recalled IF Carlos Triunfal from AAA Albuquerque. On April 29, optioned IF Carlos Triunfal to AAA Albuquerque and recalled LHP Paco Rodriguez from AAA Albuquerque. On April 30, optioned C. Tim Federowicz to AAA Albuquerque, transferred RHP Chad Billingsley from the 15-day disabled list to the 60-day disabled list, and purchased the contract of C. Miguel Olivo from AAA Albuquerque. On May 1, purchased the contract of RHP Red Patterson from AAA Albuquerque and designated OF Nick Buss for assignment. On May 2, optioned RHP Red Patterson and LHP Paco Rodriguez to AAA Albuquerque, placed LHP Hyunjin Ryan on the 15-day disabled list with shoulder inflammation and recalled RHP Jose Copyright Dominguez and IFOF Cone Figgins from AAA Albuquerque. On May 4, optioned RHP Jose Copyright Dominguez to AAA Albuquerque and recalled RHP Stephen Fife from AAA Albuquerque. On May 5, optioned RHP Stephen Fife to AAA Albuquerque and recalled RHP Pedro Baez from AA Chattanooga. On May 6, recalled LHP Clayton Kershaw from the 15-day disabled list and optioned RHP Pedro Baez to AA Chattanooga. On May 14, activated C.A.J. Ellis from the 15-day disabled list and optioned C. Miguel Olivo to AAA Albuquerque. On May 21, placed 3B Juan Uribe on the 15-day disabled list with a strained hamstring, activated LHP Hyunjin Raya from the 15-day disabled list, optioned RHP Chris Withrow to AAA Albuquerque and recalled SS Isabella Rubber Arena from AA Chattanooga. On May 26, placed C.A.J. Ellis on the 15-day disabled list, with a sprained right ankle, and recalled C. Tim Federowicz from AAA Albuquerque. On May 28, placed OF Carl Crawford on the 15-day disabled list, with a sprained left ankle, and purchased the contract of IFOF Jamie Romack from AAA Albuquerque. On June 6, optioned SS Isabella Rubber Arena to AAA Albuquerque, transferred RHP Chris Withrow from the 15-day disabled list to the 60-day disabled list and purchased the contract of IF Miguel Rojas from AAA Albuquerque. On June 13, activated C.A.J. Ellis from the 15-day disabled list and optioned C. Tim Federowicz to AAA Albuquerque. On June 14, placed IFOF Cone Figgins on the 15-day disabled list with a strained left quad muscle and recalled IF Carlos Triunfal from AAA Albuquerque. On June 25, designated IFOK Jamie Romack for assignment and purchased the contract of 1B Clint Robinson from AAA Albuquerque. On June 26, activated 3B Juan Uribe from the 15-day disabled list and optioned IF Carlos Triunfal to AAA Albuquerque. On June 29, placed IF Justin Turner on the 15-day disabled list with a left hamstring strain and recalled IF Carlos Triunfal from AAA Albuquerque. July On July 3, optioned IF Carlos Triunfal to AAA Albuquerque and recalled IF Isabella Rubber Arena from AAA Albuquerque. On July 6, placed IF Isabella Rubber Arena on the 15-day disabled list with a right hip flexor strain and recalled IF Carlos Triunfal from AAA Albuquerque. On July 8, placed RHP Josh Beckett on the 15-day disabled list with a left hip impingement and recalled RHP Pedro Baez from AAA Albuquerque. On July 10, activated OF Carl Crawford from the 15-day disabled list and designated 1B Clint Robinson for assignment. On July 13, optioned RHP Pedro Baez to AAA Albuquerque. On July 18, activated IF Justin Turner from the 15-day disabled list, recalled LHP Paco Rodriguez from AAA Albuquerque and optioned IF Carlos Triunfal to AAA Albuquerque. On July 22, activated RHP Josh Beckett from the 15-day disabled list and optioned LHP Paco Rodriguez to AAA Albuquerque. On July 27, activated IF Isabella Arena from the 15-day disabled list and optioned him to Class A Advanced Rancho Cucamonga. On July 28, acquired IF Darwin Barney in cash considerations from the Chicago Cubs for a player to be named all cash. On July 29, designated LHP Scott Elbert for assignment. August on August 2, placed LHP Paul Maum on the 15-day disabled list with a torn anterior cruciate ligament, recalled LHP Paco Rodriguez from AAA Albuquerque. On August 4, placed RHP Chris Perez on the 15-day disabled list with bone spurs in his right ankle, transferred LHP Paul Maum from the 15-day disabled list to the 60-day disabled list, and purchased the contract of RHP Carlos Fares from AAA Albuquerque. On August 5, placed LHP Paco Rodriguez on the 15-day disabled list with a major strain near his left shoulder and recalled RHP Pedro Baez from AAA Albuquerque. On August 6, activated IF Cone Figgins from the 15-day disabled list and designated him for assignment. On August 7, acquired RHP Roberto Hernandez from the Philadelphia Phillies for 2 players to be named later or cash. On August 8, placed RHP Josh Beckett on the 15-day disabled list with a left hip impingement and activated RHP Roberto Hernandez. On August 9, acquired RHP Kevin Correa from the Minnesota Twins for a player to be named later or cash. On August 10, placed SS Hanley Ramirez on the 15-day disabled list with a right oblique strain, retroactive to August 9, and called up IF Darwin Barney from AAA Albuquerque. Designated LHP Colt Hines for assignment. On August 11, activated RHP Kevin Correa and optioned RHP Pedro Baez to AAA Albuquerque. On August 15, placed LHP Hyunjin Ryan on the 15-day disabled list with a right hip strain and recalled RHP Pedro Baez from AAA Albuquerque. On August 16, placed 3B Juan Uribe on the 15-day disabled list with a right hamstring strain and recalled IF Carlos Triunfal from AAA Albuquerque. On August 19, optioned IF Carlos Triunfal to AAA Albuquerque and recalled SS Isabella Arena from AAA Albuquerque. On August 24, activated SS Hanley Ramirez from the 15-day disabled list and optioned SS Isabella Arena to advanced Class A Rancho Cucamonga. On August 31, activated LHP Hyunjin Raya and 3B Juan Uribe from the 15-day disabled list and optioned RHP Carlos Fares and IF Miguel Rojas to AAA Albuquerque. September on September 1, activated RHP Chris Perez from the 15-day disabled list, recalled IF Alex Guerrero, RHP Yimi Garcia, and C. Tim Federowicz from AAA Albuquerque, purchased the contract of OF Jock Pederson from AAA Albuquerque and designated IF Carlos Triunfal for assignment. On September 2, recalled RHP Carlos Fares and IF Miguel Rojas from AAA Albuquerque and SS Isabella Arena from Class A Rancho Cucamonga. On September 6, purchased the contract of OF Roger Benedina from AAA Albuquerque and transferred RHP Josh Beckett from the 15-day disabled list to the 60-day disabled list. On September 12, purchased the contract of LHP Scott Elbert from AAA Albuquerque and designated RHP Red Patterson for assignment. On September 13, activated LHP Paco Rodriguez off the 15-day disabled list. On September 16, recalled RHP Stephen Fife from AAA Albuquerque and placed him on the 60-day disabled list with a right elbow injury. Purchased the contract of LHP Daniel Coulomb from AA Chattanooga. Farm system equals minor league statistical leaders equals notes equals. Shortstop Corey Seager was selected as the most valuable player of the California League. In 80 games with the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes, he led the league with 34 doubles, a .633 slugging percentage, a 1.044 OPS, 54 extra base hits and 207 total bases. On August 23, in his 115th game of the season, Jock Pederson of the Albuquerque Isotopes became the first player in the Pacific Coast League in 80 years, and the fourth all-time, to hit 30 homers and steal 30 bases in the same season. The only other Pacific Coast League hitters to do it were lefty Odell and Hall of Famer Tony Lazzari. He was also only the second Dodger minor leaguer to ever do it, joining Chien-Feng Chen. Pederson was also named the most valuable player of the PCL. Pitcher Jose de Leon of the rookie class Ogden Raptors was named Pitcher of the Year in the Pioneer Baseball League after he led the league in strikeouts despite pitching only 54 1/3 innings. The rookie class Arizona League Dodgers made the Arizona League playoffs but were eliminated by a 5-4 loss to the Mariners in the first round. The AA Chattanooga Lookouts won the second-half Southern League title and a berth in the playoffs. They then beat the Huntsville Stars 3-2 in the best-of-5 semifinal series and advanced to play in the Southern League Championship Series. However, they were swept in 3 games by the Jacksonville Suns in the finals. The rookie class Ogden Raptors won the second-half Pioneer Baseball League title and a berth in the playoffs. However, they were swept by the RMOWLZ in the first round of the playoffs. On September 17, the Dodgers announced that they would be purchasing the Oklahoma City Redhawks franchise in the Pacific Coast League and that it would replace the Albuquerque Isotopes as the team's AAA affiliate. Dodger co-owner Peter Guber would be the executive in charge of the franchise. They also announced that they were switching AA affiliates as well, signing a 2-year agreement with the Tulsa Drillers of the Texas League, replacing the Chattanooga Lookouts of the Southern League. On September 26, the Dodgers selected outfielder Jock Pederson and shortstop Corey Seager as the co-winners of the Organizational Minor League Player of the Year award. Pederson, who also won in 2012, became the third Dodger position player to win the award twice. Julio Urias was selected as the organization's minor league pitcher of the year. Several top Dodgers prospects participated in the Arizona Fall League in October and November, 2014. They included the team's top prospect, shortstop Corey Seager, as well as pitchers Matt McGill, Blake Smith, Michael Thomas, Daniel Coulomb and Matt Shelton, infielder Darnell Sweeney and outfielder Scott Schballer. Major League Baseball Draft. The Dodgers selected 40 players in this draft. Of those, none of them have played Major League Baseball as of the 2014 season. The first-round draft pick was right-handed pitcher Grant Holmes from Conway High School. References. External links, 2014 Los Angeles Dodgers season at ESPN, 2014 Los Angeles Dodgers season at Baseball Reference, 2014 Los Angeles Dodgers season at official site.